Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back in the Gumbo Pod. It's episode number 150 of Gumbo Live. Gumbo Live, the number one Facebook Live talk show in Louisville, Kentucky. Steve wanted to go Murfreesboro. I'm going to pivot there. Louisville, Kentucky, and there's a reason for that. We're going to be talking about our special guests tonight, Dean and Deron from the wonderful board game podcast, MeepleTown, one of our favorites. Dean, a returning guest. Our first chance to meet Deron here on the show. So if you got some questions in the chat crew, make sure you hit them. Hit us up on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, or on Blue Sky, or Blue Ski, as I like to say, at Board Game Gumbo, and we'll be looking for your questions in the chat crew. But enough blather, let's get right to our special guest. It's Dean. It's Deron. Welcome to Gumbo Live.
Hey, BJ. Glad to be here.
Uh-oh, Dean, did we lose your voice?
Yeah, I hit the mute button because I'm an old man, and that's what I do. That's what I just said. I don't need to be muted.
Last week in the Gumbo Pot, we were streaming on our Twitch Tuesdays, and we did the whole first 20 minutes without realizing that our mics were off completely. So all you see is us doing this. Let me tell you, it was the best 20 minutes of comedy you've ever missed. Hey, welcome to the show. So the chat crew's met Dean before. Let's start with Deron. Deron, give us the elevator pitch. Who is Deron? What's your board gaming origin story?
Oh, man. That goes way back. I did not grow up in a board gaming family, but I did grow up playing some games, things like Stratego and Clue and Balderdash and any Star Wars game I could get my hand on, and, grew up playing some card games, but my family was never big card game players. And I can remember the first game that kind of rocked my world a little bit was Carcassonne when my wife and I were young marrieds. We played that, but she got really competitive and would always beat me, so we stopped playing that one. And it was many years later when I discovered Seven Wonders. Just worked playing with some students, and I thought, oh man, I didn't know games could be like this. And my youngest daughter always wanted us to be able to play games instead of just watching movies all the time. And so I tried to find some games for her, like Dragonwood, or which is a Game Right game, or something like Roll For It. We talked to Chris Leader on our show here recently, and he's the designer of that. Thank you very much.
By the way, I've got a bone to pick with both of you guys. Guests on MeepleTown. That's Gumbo Live's shtick. What is going on? I've listened to 300 million episodes of MeepleTown. I don't remember any guests before.
Oh, yeah. We're actually thinking about doing a live show on Tuesday nights coming up here soon.
right, 9:30 Central. 9:30 Eastern. Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Deron, you just made VJ Bell very, very happy because you got our first Carcassonne reference. Congratulations. That was great. We got a couple of people checking in. Do you know if you know this person? Kelly Jean saying first.
No, never heard of her. That's awesome.
The lovely Kelly Jean, who you taught us some games at ChuckCon this summer, right, Dean?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I'm
brought along
drawing a blank as to what we learned, but yeah.
Well, did she play the 3-ring circus game with us? I know Steve was in that game. Yeah.
Yes.
We got Beans and Dice. Carlos checking in. What's up, Carlos? The best live call-in show you can actually call, like a sports talk show. Dean and Deron, you all listen to the sports talk shows, right? Carlos and them run one on Thursday nights, right there on YouTube every Thursday night. But it's not about sports. It's all about board games. So check.
And this is called Beans and Dice. I'm gonna write this down.
It's the Beans and Dice podcast. You can't beat it. They also broadcast them onto your podcast catcher, so you can catch it later on. But the fun is in calling into the show. I don't always call in. I'll call in every couple of months, but you can ask Carlos. I love being in the chat, just throwing in little snarky comments all during the show. So, and she said it was Tipperary and 3-ring circus. That was right. Dean, for those who don't know you, who don't remember when you came on the show 10 years ago, maybe you could tell the chat crew, the elevator pitch, who is Dean?
Dean is a board gamer, been podcasting for over 5 years now is when we started MeepleTown. And we started the YouTube channel, but really got away from that. I still do some videos for that. But my origin board game story is playing all kinds of old games, especially Yahtzee and Boggle. Back in when my wife and I first got married, had some friends over, and almost daily we'd be playing Yahtzee and Boggle. In fact, we played Boggle right before I got on here. That's why I'm a little bit late.
Yahtzee, Boggle. My mom is so good at it. I just can't beat her. She's just so good at Bongo. But I love those word games. I mean, there's a million of them. Speaking of word games, we've got some wordsmiths in the green room. So if you don't mind, I'm going to bring them up. I think you know both of these people. The Name Father. I mean, come on, wordsmith. That's a good one for Steve, right?
That's good.
Yeah,
Good
that'll do. That'll do just fine.
Steve is the producer of the show, and we also have the Gumbo Overlord checking in. It's Verla. What's up, Verla?
Hey, friends.
Hey, Verla.
All right,
who's got a welcome to the show, Dean. Welcome.
Who's got a question for our friends here? Who's got a question for Dean and Deron? Anybody?
Good question. Well, one of the first things I noticed when Deron came in and took over after Johnny MeepleTown went walkabout, I noticed that you started being a little bit more explicit in saying building community through board games. That's become a little bit more of a theme and tag for a lot of stuff. So I'm curious a little bit about some of the stuff that you've been doing with that. I know as another college or higher ed professional, we do this with games in the classroom and we can study them academically, but we also want to try and build stuff there. What are some of the things that you're doing outside of the podcast world with games to try and make that community happen?
And was the change because Johnny was no longer there? So now you can build community.
One was tearing down community through board games.
Ouch.
Funny enough, that was our original tagline for the show. And then we realized as a show, we weren't really doing much to do that. And so we got away from that. And that's when we got to the nonsense. Whatever. I don't remember even what our tagline was.
I don't remember
something about board
What
gaming
was it?
nonsense.
Shenanigans.
Sure.
MeepleTown shenanigans.
Yeah.
So we went back to that, and really, like a lot of it is doing things like having guests on our show. We're trying to do more of that locally. I'm really big on just community building in general. That's just a big passion of mine, and board gaming is a great vessel for that. So any kind of opportunity to go to game nights, to go to local cons, to host things like that, I've tried to do and have done some board gaming evenings with the school and some other community places. So any way to build community using board gaming is just like that conduit to get there.
Deron, what was it like replacing David Lee Roth?
I had a hard time fitting into the leather pants. It was quite challenging.
Well, I
Still
love
working
Sammy
on that.
Hagar, so you're in good company, man. You're in good
Darren Frudenhager? Is that what's happening here?
You want to try that again one more time?
What was that like coming on to, following up on Steve's question, what was that like coming on to an established podcast?
Yeah, it was a little intimidating. I remember when Dean and John first started, and listening to them from the beginning was exciting, and always enjoyed what they had to say. And knowing they had an established community there and trying to be a new voice in the midst of that was a little intimidating. You can't just walk in and replace Johnny MeepleTown. And that was never the point, just to come in and be the next wave as he went on walkabout, like you said. It was fun. It was challenging, but
you
it
guys
was a
know
blast.
each other a long time, right?
Yeah, Dean and I have known each other for, let's see, I've been doing this for about 15 years or so, at least.
That's about right. Longer than I've known Johnny MeepleTown by
Get some, Johnny.
quite a long time.
And a lot of times you guys talk about on the show, let's throw this on the pile for whenever we have our meetup. But you guys finally actually did a meetup in between. You're in Indiana, right? And Dean's in Tennessee, so y'all met. That's why I picked Louisville instead of Murfreesboro, because I figured it had to be somewhere around Louisville, right? Maybe.
Yeah, it was.
You didn't hear us say that. You figured that out on your own.
No, I remember you guys talking about the thing, but I thought y'all didn't actually meet in Louisville. It was somewhere else, if I remember right. But maybe I'm misremembering.
No, it was Louisville. Yeah,
Okay.
which is, for the record, slightly closer for Deron than it is for me. I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't know
I'm not
what you're talking
discounting,
about.
right?
Who's counting?
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of stickers here. I've got Beans and Dice. I got the Secret Ball. I've got the Board Boys. Don't have MeepleTown, man.
It's right here.
Oh, he's
It's on
got
my
one.
water
But BJ, show that you're representing them.
Hey,
There it is.
There we
There
go.
you
That
go.
counts.
well,
Nice.
BJ, if it makes you feel any better, I don't have the new sticker either. So
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh,
I'm
Rob
hoarding them.
Pearson checking in. Rob from the Board Boys. That's right, Rob. Got it right here. Ready? Got my tickets
Hi,
ready
Rob.
for VGG.
Yes.
Maybe Berla's going to be joining us this year.
Not
at
maybe.
VGG Ball?
Yes.
Oh,
she
yes.
is.
All right. And Kelly said she's wearing her shirt too. That's very good. Everybody's got our MeepleTown shirts.
Kelly says you're wearing her shirt, is what she said.
I am not wearing her shirt. I am
There would
definitely
be,
wearing my
some
shirt.
explaining to do.
Steve, they mentioned a guy named Johnny MeepleTown,
Yeah.
but you reached out to Johnny MeepleTown, isn't that right?
Me? No. Well, perhaps.
We heard that you guys were, worried about Johnny on his walkabout. So we have a presentation for you guys, if you don't mind. Just sit back, grab some popcorn. This might actually be something that relates to the podcast itself. So I'll just let it take away.
Dear Dean, if you're reading this, you've gotten out. And if you've come this far, maybe you're willing to come a little further. You remember the name of the town, don't you? Say Wataneo. I could use a good man to help me get my project on wheels. I'll keep an eye out for you and the chessboard ready. Remember, Dean, hope is a good thing, maybe the best of things, and no good thing ever dies. I will be hoping that this recording finds you, and finds you well. Your friend, Johnny.
Amazing.
How you like that? A little
That's incredible.
letter.
He kept the
Beautiful.
secret very well.
He
I
did.
saw him 2 days ago. He didn't say anything about this.
It was 2 days ago that I reached out to him, and he did then ask afterwards, "Is this a secret?" I'm like, yeah. So,
I was talking to him today.
Yeah.
I was telling him to join us tonight.
Credit to our producer, Steve. You
that's
guys
great.
have mentioned the Shawshank Redemption on the show, right?
Yes.
It has appeared.
Yes, we have.
And
You do remember the name of the town, don't you, Dean?
Well, that was it, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
It
I
was.
wanted him to
That's
say
fantastic.
Teotihuacan.
Yeah.
That's what I was expecting. So when I heard that, I
BJ
was
did
like,
lobby for that one,
Yeah.
but John nailed it with the performance there. That was
Oh, yeah.
that was Johnny Dufresne, MeepleTown there.
and I think I covered everything. I tried to get pictures
I
of
think you did.
Darren, pictures of, and I found a bunch. That was a great shot, by the way, of you and Steph Hodge. Darren, I guess you didn't get to make. Was that Tennessee game days, maybe?
That
Steph
one
Hodge?
towards the end, people gathered around the table.
Yeah.
This was our friend Jonathan's weekly game night.
Okay.
He does that. Actually, right now they do it every Tuesday night.
I think you
And
mean
so
my friend, Jonathan, right?
You're. I'm sorry. I
Whose friend,
stand
Jonathan?
corrected.
Yeah, there you
Steve O'Rourke's friend Jonathan,
go.
according to the Discord.
Correct.
That was their game night last week. We were playing Ready, Set, Bet,
Oh, nice one.
which I won. I'm not bragging, but I beat Jonathan by 1 and Steph by 2. I think is
Mm.
that was the closest game of Ready, Set, Bet ever.
Nice.
I agree with Rob. Nice production values there, BJ. Nice, you cut that together beautifully.
Yeah, thanks. Shout out to Johnny MeepleTown for getting that done for us. That was fantastic. Now we know where Johnny MeepleTown is. We can't leave the people hanging at the end of the movie, right? we had to know.
We didn't actually know what tree you would find it outside, the buried in. So we had to deliver the audio file to you so that you knew where to get to him.
If I were better, I would have had Johnny's face on top of Morgan Freeman sitting by the tree, but I couldn't pull it
Yeah.
off. I'm not that good. BJ from Morgan Gumbo, I've got my guests in here. MeepleTown. It's Dean and Darren from MeepleTown, and we are talking spicy hot games. And the first one I want to talk about is a friend of our show, but also you guys are big fans too. Johnny Pack and the development work that he did with a game that Henry Audubon designed called Flow. And Dean, I think you've actually got a chance to play it or get a chance to look at it, or you know a little bit more about it than we do.
We have it in MeepleTown right now.
There it is.
It's a big.
All right,
hefty
take it away.
box.
Tell us about
So
Flow.
pretty.
It is so pretty. You're absolutely right. It is a at its heart, I would say it's kind of a worker placement game, and you have these miniatures, and then you have these little tiny miniature familiars, and your miniatures are going to go around taking actions in kind of 3 different areas. One of those is out on the map which you're going to explore on the map and go take actions by taking resources and things like that. Lots of good stuff that you can do out there. In the map, you can also go to the caves and you're going to fight monsters in the cave, and you can get some victory points and some in-game scoring cards and things like that. And then once you run out of heat, because it's cold out there, right? And so once you run out of heat, you're going to have to go back to the village to warm up and spend the resources that you gained to move up a track, which will allow you to take the different actions. It's interesting, though, because on that picture you have right there, you have those little flow markers. So if you can see them, it's that green marker right there, the one with the mushroom on it. So those are all different resources and they go up. In order to take the action, you have to fill up the capacity of those resources. You spend all of them, and then that flow marker moves up. And so what you're trying to do is get that flow marker to move all the way to the top, and eventually you can put it out onto the map, and then that's how you're going to gain victory points. You only get let's see, 6 victory points is going to be the in-game trigger, and then you have your objective cards that will give you some in-game scoring. But it's a lot of stuff that you're doing throughout the game and not scoring a lot of points until the end, and everything just kind of cascades as you start getting those flow markers out. You can get victory points the farther you explore into the cave, and lots of other stuff. Half victory points. I kind of want to stop there because there's so much to this game, and it is, and they mentioned this in the Kickstarter. The Kickstarter is over, but you can still get this. It's in beta, and so they have the game designed, but there's a lot of changes that they want to make to it, and based on reviewers' feedback and lots of other things that people are saying along the way. I had a lot of feedback for this one. A lot of really positive feedback, but then I had some things that I thought could be probably smoothed out a little bit more. A few areas need to be streamlined a little bit more, but not like a ton. It's really developed well.
So if I remember, there's also, is it a campaign or a storyline that you're kind of going through also?
Yeah.
Is there
So
anything to that?
there is. You start off the game, and I actually didn't do it this way. You start off the game and you play the game, and then the second game, you add a few more things, and then you add a few more things, and you add a few more things. Well, the way the rule book is set up for the preview copy of it is it kind of starts you into the third game where it throws more stuff at you than you wouldn't normally getting it. But then as you go on, you're also going to be unlocking envelopes and seeing new things in there. And so I've seen some of that that's hidden away in this box that I'm not supposed to talk about, but there is other stuff in a lot of things that I don't know about what is in the envelopes and what new things are going to unlock.
Would you compare it to like a Ticket to Ride Legacy type of game? Is like major changes to it, or can you say anything about that? The reason I'm asking is because
nothing like that I've
seen. Yeah, we're about to finish up Ticket to Ride, and it's one of the few big Euro style legacy games that I can think of. My city was not, my city was fun, but they're small, little, tiny games.
Mhm.
Ticket to Ride's been just a joy to go through, and I kept thinking from our group, what's that next game we could do that's going to have some legacy, maybe have some campaign elements, but it's not cooperative. It's actually competitive. Would this be it?
Probably not.
Okay.
And that's not a negative. It's just not necessarily, I wouldn't put it in the campaign category. This is a Euro through and through. No doubt. It gives me, I've got some weird comparisons, I guess. One is Scythe or Expeditions. And the thing I realized that I love, and those are some of my favorite games. The reason why I love those games so much is because the turns are pretty quick, and there's a tenseness that happens throughout the game where you're rushing to get things before other people get them, rushing to get your stars out and things like that. This one, you're rushing to move up on those tracks. You're rushing through the cave to get through it faster than other people. If there's cards out there, you're rushing to get those before other people. But it is really a race to move up that victory point track. Even though you can still get in-game points, even if you're not the first one to reach 6, you can still win the game. But it does feel tense and taking quick turns and trying to get there faster than anyone else.
Okay. Hey, I just noticed that it's Bo's birthday. Rob's son, Bo, who's a big board gamer. So happy birthday, Bo!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! Bo.
It's amazing some of the games that Bo plays, and including his own custom unmatched deck, a Stay Puft Marshmallow deck.
Darren's
Sounds
perking
good.
up over there. He's
That's very appropriate with the new movie that's out now.
That's
Which
It
I
exactly.
feels
still
like that
haven't
needs
seen.
to have a Marvel crossover with Human Torch.
Hey, brother, what do you think of it? What do you think of this art? Look at this. Isn't this
Yeah.
Oh,
amazing?
I'm so in love with the art of this game. Like, I didn't back it because I just wasn't sure if the gameplay was going to be for me. I was this close, though. I was so tempted, but I realized I
Rilla's
think it's
face
because
when
art.
the dancing fingers when Flo came out.
Oh,
you
I
could
know.
see
I
it.
know. I was so excited.
dancing.
Like, I very much want to play it. I'm just worried that it's not one that would hit my table over and over again. I would like to be wrong. And my friend in my game group that tends to back a lot of things, me and some other friends were like, "Are you going to back that, Sydney?" And she was thinking about it. I don't know what she finally decided, but I'm really hoping she backed it.
I was thinking about
I
backing also, but
became a
I was
backer.
lucky.
You did?
Okay.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I don't know, for what that's worth. I expected it to be a lot lighter than it was. Pika is the publisher for this, which is an offshoot of Fantasia, and it was my understanding that Pika is maybe more of the lighter. It's midweight Euro games, thematic Euro games is kind of
Right.
their big thing. I didn't think this was any lighter than Endless Winter, which was a game that shot up my list as one of my all-time favorite games at
I
this
love that
point. I
game.
love it. Yeah,
But you're saying this
Then-
is actually close in weight to Endless Winter?
yeah, I think so. I don't think
Wow.
it's lighter.
That's-
I
Yeah,
wasn't
now
expecting that.
That surprises me.
some of that might change, right, with the development of it over the next year or whatever, how long it's going to take. But
I'm assuming this shot right here is the player board you were talking about with the different tracks that go up and down.
that's right. And so the little card on the right side is still on the board with that pink miniature. That's your familiar that's going to go around and take kind of like a secondary action, I guess. And then on the left side, you have your heat tracker. And so you have to, again, manage your heat. Otherwise, you're going to get sent back to the village if you use up all of your heat,
Who is
which
this
is not,
artist?
it's not a
Does anybody know?
penalty. It's just you go back there.
It's Andrew Bosley, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, no
Andrew
wonder.
Bosley.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder.
Yeah.
It's all
Very
these
cool.
cute little animals.
Which a little bit of a
There-
spoiler, because we haven't talked about this. We mentioned in the Discord, but we just interviewed Andrew Bosley, not Bosley.
Wait, it's
but
not
I was
Steve
wrong.
from the Secret Ball? You said it was
No.
a renowned artist.
Steve was unavailable, and so we had to take Andrew.
He's probably doing an exhibition in New York or
Sometimes
London.
you just have to settle for number two.
yeah.
That's
You
right.
know?
It is what it is.
He's probably doing an exhibition at the Louvre or the
Sure.
Guggenheim.
Sure.
Yeah, see, I think that's Andrew's signature there on the bottom. I did not realize that was Bosley, Andrew Bosley art. Fantastic. So you guys are going to have him on the next episode, I guess?
Yeah, I'm dropping 2 episodes this week because I was a little bit behind. So this one's almost a little bit of a bonus episode. It'll come out probably in 2 days.
Ooh,
Very cool.
can't wait to listen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're not just talking about flow either. There's also a very interesting discussion about some AI art and its use in board gaming. And so,
Boo.
hope. Oh, wait, is
I'm
that
showing
boo
my
us or?
No, I'm showing my colors. I don't like AI art. I like to see the real stuff. So, but we can talk about that another time. So, Gumbo Overlord, it sounds like they're trying to take over Gumbo Live. You're going to have to step in with your lawyers because you got a string of guests here. Chris Leader, Andrew Bosley.
Whoever is next will surprise you.
Yeah, keep it up. Well, now, Darren, you didn't say. I'm assuming you haven't played it, but is this one you're interested in? Is Flow a? How do you say that? A play it, a buy it, or a, what's the 3 things?
Play,
you do?
purchase.
Play, purchase, try.
Pass, purchase,
Pass.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, Darren has not played this one. I'm going to speak for Darren. Darren's not played this one.
No, but judging
John-
on Dean's description, though, what are you thinking, Darren? I don't think he's thinking anything. I think he hates
Have we lost the
this
audience?
game.
He's checked out. He's done with this conversation.
I think he's frozen in time. Oh, you know what? His heat. I think the heat
Got sent
thing-
back to the village.
That's right.
So, Darren, we were asking, what do you think? Is this one that you want to play? You want to try? You want to buy?
Sorry, yeah, I did freeze. All of y'all just became little black screens with swirling circles. I apologize for that. But
wasn't
but no,
panicking.
this was
Dean was freaking out. That was totally calm and cool, collected.
No, this is one that I am curious about. When I first heard it, I was very excited, and then when I heard that Dean was getting a copy, I didn't have to worry about it as much because I'm just going to have him throw it on the pile the next time we meet in the secret undisclosed location in Louisville, Kentucky, which is closer to me.
I like it. All right, so it sounds like all of us at least want to try it, and maybe some of us are going to buy it. So that is Flo from Pika Games. Thank you, Dean, for that great recitation. BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guests here from MeepleTown. It's Deron and it's Dean, and we're talking spicy hot games. And a game I want to talk about is a game I've actually got a chance to play. It's right here on this shelf, but I want to hear Darren's thoughts about the Magnificent. Deron, this is the designer, Elf Svensson. So be careful what you say. He's watching you.
Elf, I love your work. This was one that I was really excited about. I remember hearing, it's a 2019 game, and I can remember Dean and Johnny talking about it a while back and not really knowing this is one that I was going to enjoy or not, as I heard the Dice Tower kind of being maybe lukewarm on it, and I wasn't 100% sure. I knew it was about circuses, and that always excited me, but I also heard it was themeless, and I can attest that this is definitely a themeless Euro game.
But it's not beige. Doesn't look very beige.
It is not beige. I love the color, even though it's dark. It looks nice. But it does have the dice drafting, which I absolutely adore. It's got these beautiful, colorful dice that you're drafting, and you're placing them on these action cards that you have in front of you. And when you place a die, you're going to get to take a bonus action. And those bonus actions can do some really cool stuff. And then the more dice you draft of those colors, you're going to actually add up those pip values, and it's going to let you take stronger actions throughout the game. But the tricky part is you're going to have to pay at the end of the round for whatever your highest value of color is. You've got to pay for it. And so, yes, Kelly Jean, I would agree. It is magnificent. I really enjoyed my play of this, because once you draft all those die, you're going to get to do a few different things. You're going to get to build in your little circus tents areas on your player board, which means you're just taking either large or small polyomino tiles and placing them in your tent area, which is cool because kind of like in Barron Park and other games, you're going to cover up some icons. You're going to get some bonuses like points or money, or maybe unlock some extra workers, some trainers that let you do some stuff. So you can build, you can travel, you can move these little cool looking wooden cart meeples around these different travel tracks. Depending on what color of die you select will determine which cart you can move. And that's going to let you take various bonus actions and gather gems, which you can use to manipulate the pip values of your dice. You can also perform shows, which are these poster cards that you can draft throughout the game. And it's going to let you perform shows for points or for money or what have you. And all that's going to be based on what type of gems you may have that you can discard, or what types of tiles you have already placed in your player area. So again, very Euro-y, but very rich and colorful. And I just really love how everything interacts in this game. Like I said, I love covering stuff for bonuses. I love dice drafting. This was one that, even though I'm really a theme guy, and if it doesn't have a theme, then I usually lose interest. But this was really a lot of fun. I was shocked, and I think Dean and Johnny for once were right on how good this game is. So
yeah,
you're welcome.
We played it a couple of times. Here's the weird thing about this game, Darren. I super enjoyed my play, and yet I can barely remember the mechanics, and I can't get anybody else to play it. Everybody in our game group played it once or twice and either sold it on, traded away. And I actually found this a pretty cheap deal at BGG when I got it. It's one of those games where it's like it's got great mechanics, but it just doesn't stick. I don't know how to say that. I don't know why some games like Coimbra, after you play it, or Teotihuacan, they just stick with you and you remember what the game is about, even though you don't remember every single rule, but you remember what all the game's about and they stick with you forever. But this one, I just like, in you telling about the game, I had to kind of bring back exactly how it was played, even though I've played it a couple of times and I can't figure out why. I don't know if the mechanics themselves just aren't really that intuitive. It's basically dice drafting, and it's basically trying to manage those resources when you do pick those dice. But you know what I'm talking about, where there's just certain Euro games where they just don't stick. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like Teotihuacan.
Not one of my favorite ones. I threw that out there, but not one of my favorite ones. I'm a
Sorry,
Toledo
Verla.
guy. I love Toledo. So
Oh yeah.
we were talking about that today, rating all the different tea games, how we rank them all. But the Magnificent is one. It's like I wouldn't turn down if somebody played it, but I don't know that it needs to stay.
What do you think it is? Was there something that overshadowed it that had similar mechanics or a similar theme that just made it kind of vaporize or fade for you, or is it something about the play?
If I remember right, Jared said two things. It was fine and it was mechanical.
Okay.
Whatever that means, So if I remember right, that's what he said. So
It is funny, but felt games are mechanical, but a lot of those stick with me more. I love Magnificent, but I feel the same way you do, BJ. It is. I'm like, oh yeah, I really want to play that now that Darren's talking about it, but I haven't really thought about it in a while.
Meanwhile, it's kind of forgettable.
Is that how it was for you, Verla? Have you played it, Verla?
I haven't played it, so
Kelly
it's
loves
been
it,
one. I know she bought it when it was really cheap and heard a lot of good things. She probably got sucked in with dice drafting, and now you just mentioned polyominoes, which I didn't know that was a factor in this game. So that kind of drew me in because those are two of my favorite things. But yeah, it's never really called to me. Like you're saying, I would try it if you wanted to play it. If you want to teach me at BGG, I'll give it a go.
Steve, it doesn't have a city name and it's not beige.
Right? No.
It's really it's actually very pretty.
It has to overcome some things that are stacked against it in my book. That it's too exciting, and it's not named after a Renaissance location of some sort. So, but you're right. It looks like it's trying to be pretty felled.
Yeah, I didn't get a felled feeling necessarily. It felt more like, boy, there's just a lot of manipulation. Darren, do you remember that? I mean, it felt like you can really manipulate where you're putting the tiles out, what you're doing to the dice. Every time you did that, there was all kind of little powers that I do remember all that part. I just don't remember much else about the game, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I feel like there's lots of things that you can cover up for points and bonuses. There's lots of powers that you can turn those dice around, or you can, like you said, manipulate that or draft other cards. You're always moving. You're always getting something. And that was something that I really liked about it. I think some of the things I've noticed just listening to others talk about it, everyone like Verla and you, BJ, have mentioned, everyone that I know has picked it up cheap. I picked it up for like $10 on a sale somewhere.
It's true.
For whatever reason. I think for a lot of the reasons that y'all said, it doesn't look like a Euro. It looks like a thematic game, and it's very mechanical, like you said. And so unless you're into those mechanisms, then it's just a game. It's fine. But I'll take fine, rich looking Euro any day over some. If I'm just resource conversion and drafting, I want it to at least look enticing to the eye and not be beige. If it's beige, I'm out. It's about circuses. That's great. It doesn't play anything like circuses. I don't care. Just those little nuggets are enough to make me want to come back to this conversion Euro.
Yeah, and it's funny. I don't expect my Euros to actually have a theme. It doesn't really bother me that much. If the theme is there, as long as the mechanics themselves seem to fit the theme, I'm actually okay with that. It's got a different type of a theme. It's got these standout, beautiful dice and beautiful pieces. I can't figure out why, and I honestly enjoyed my plays of it. It just seemed like it was fine. So, but it's still on my shelf. So I guess that's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
When y'all mentioned game nerds.
There you go. Yeah, and y'all mentioned Three Ring Circus earlier, and I'm wondering, Dean, if we don't need to have a circus showdown at MeepleTown between the Magnificent and Three Ring Circus.
And Meeple Circus.
I think you should. It sounds like you're putting on shows in both of them.
Yeah.
To be fair, Darren, the game is actually about magicians, and I think that kind of tells you how themeless it is. So I would have put this up against Tricarion, and to be frank, I'd rather play Tricarion any day over the Magnificent. But
this is true.
There it is. But Scout versus Three Ring Circus, I think would be a really weird match.
That would.
That would be a really
weird
match. Yeah. All right. So that's the Magnificent. I had a magnificent time playing it so much that I don't actually remember it. But Thank you for bringing it out. I'd like other people to play it and see what they say about it. That's the magnificent. Great pedigree, great designers. They produce games. Santa Maria, another game that I really like. So it's a lot of games out there. BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guests here, Dean and Deron from MeepleTown, and we are talking spicy hot games. And one of those spicy hot games is a game designed by a friend of the show, Chris Ray from the Opinionated Gamers. I mean, look at the name. It's called Zakata.
I'm so happy right now.
I'm cracking up.
All right, so I'm not gonna lie to you. There's no absolute thing. Deron, speaking of that last game, this one has no theme. So it's supposed to have a theme. It started out as a trick-taking game based on a name called Magic Trick by Chris Ray. Chris Ray has been on the show many times, loves trick-taking. He's the head of the Trick-Taking Guild. He knows the history of trick-taking games, and he's designed dozens of these. But he designed Magic Trick, a game I've never played that was really highly rated. Bezier Games picked it up, and they changed the theme to, imagine, Steve, it's the 1980s. This bear comes up with a 1980s colored xylotar, a xylophone and a guitar together. You discovered it in year 2024, and you have no idea how to play it. So you're looking at this xylotar, and you're trying to figure out how to play it. Okay, that's as close to a theme as you're going to get, because really what the game is about, it's a trick-taking game. In this trick-taking game, the players are going to split up all of the cards in the deck, minus a couple of suits, depending on the player count. But you'll split up all the cards in the deck. And then the cards in the deck, as you can see, on the backs of them, they list the suits being basically the colors. And on the other side, the front part of the card, it shows a number. And the numbers go from 0 to the top value of each suit. Each suit has a different top value. So one of them may go all the way to 8, while one of them may only go to 4. But here's the kicker. In true Bonanza style, you're going to, or maybe not Bonanza, but you're going to divide up the deck, look at your hand, just like any trick-taking game, you're going to organize them by strength all the way to the weakest cards. Because the object of the game is to score points by winning individual tricks. And if anybody hasn't played a trick-taking game, it's basically everybody play a card, strongest card wins that trick, you take the trick, you get a point. Simple, right? No. Once you order those cards from strongest to weakest, you hand your hand to the player to the left, who doesn't get to look at them. They place them face down, just like it shows here, without seeing what those cards are. All they know, Dean and Deron are looking at their hands, and they know the left side is the strongest, all the way to the weakest, but they have no idea what numbers are behind those suits. And then you play one card at a time, trying to win the suits. Well, how would you do that? Because you don't know what your cards are? Because the cards on the back show you not only the suit, but they also show you the potential strength of the card. So you don't have to remember that. You know that if your suit says 0 to 8, for instance, but it's in the middle of the pack and the card next to it to the left is a 0 to 4, well, obviously your card is not higher than a 4 because they have to be ordered from strongest to lowest. So we'll play through that. As if that wasn't enough. As if it wasn't enough. Also does one cool twist. You can get 5 bonus points if you can correctly guess how many bids you're going to win. How many tricks you're going to win. Okay, we've seen that before, right? In other trick-taking games. Yeah, but you don't just get to name a bid, Steve. You got to take 2 cards that are next to each other that you haven't seen before and flip them over, play one as your hand that time, as your turn, and play the other one secretly as your bid. So you can't do it right away because you have no idea what the strength of your hand is. But you can't wait too long because then the 2 cards next to each other might have nothing to do with how strong of a run you've had. So, oh man, it sounds really crunchy, but it's not. It's about as pure of a trick taker as I've ever seen. I introduced it to the game group. One of the guys is a big bourrée player. I mean, like bourrée extraordinaire. So he's trick taking expert. And he just, oh man, he took to it like like my cousin Boudreaux just jumping on some jambalaya. I mean, he's like all over it. He's just loving this thing. So it's not torture at all, Kelly. It's absolutely fantastic. Because really, you're just, you can kind of do some things. When I gave my hand to Darren, I know that Darren's left card all the way. I know exactly what those cards are. I can't remember all 12 of them, but Darren, I can remember the top 2 cards that I gave you. So I can eliminate those out of my cards because there's only one number in each suit. If it's 0 to 8, you only have one of each of those numbers, right? You also know that, again, like I told you, if the 0 to 4 is to the left of the 0 to 8, well, then I know that the 0 to 8 can't be all the way to 8. It's got to be 4 or less. So as you're playing cards, you're starting to deduce, and then you see Steve play the 3 red. You know that you don't have the 3 red. You must have something less than the 3 red. So does that make sense? Is that enticing at all, Avatar?
I want to try it
No.
just for the polar bear on the cover.
No.
No.
My first thought was Xylotar is okay. Who in Spinal Tap played the Xylotar? Because you said the different numbers go up to different colors go up to different numbers. Which one goes up to 11? That's what I want to know.
Right. Which one goes up to 11?
This sounds like, to me, and I'm open to give something a shot, but it sounds like every "but wait, there's more" made me want to say, "But wait, isn't that enough?"
There's only 3 rules though. Win the tricks for points, guess your bid, order the cards, and hand them to the left. That's it. That's the 3 rules of the game.
It
Okay.
seems wonky, but here's the thing I've been thinking the whole time is the logistics of playing a Xylotar is a little more, just trying to figure that out is about as difficult as it would be to play this game. I feel like, he has 2 sticks in his hands, but there's also knobs at the top. How does that work?
How does that even work?
Yeah.
Dean did not
It's not
hear a
helpful
word
for
you
us.
said, BJ.
He never got past the first line.
He never got past the cover.
No, but I'm with Steve. It seems wonky to me, even though I really want to give it a try. I think because of your excitement, that's why I wanted to try it. But
Yeah.
when you're
Agreed.
the whole passing your whole hand to somebody else, I don't love games where I don't know what cards are in my hand anyway. Like what was the fireworks one? The
Exactly. That's the one I was trying to think of. Hanabi.
Hanabi, yeah.
Hanabi is
Which
the one I was trying to think of.
I enjoyed that when I used to play it a lot, but I think the more games I play, the less I like games like that. But I'll try this.
I was excited to play it already because I knew about Magic Trick, but when I played it, I remember laughing and enjoying it the same as I did the first time Steph Hodge taught me Scout, or the first time that I played Sea Salt and Paper. I mean, that I'm planting my flag, Steve.
But be fair, you also probably love it because of the theme being an old school Xylotar player from back in the Xylotar synth 80s. That appealed to you. But I think I'm with Dean on this one too. I would happily give it a try, but it's got to convince me because while you say there are 3 rules have sub rules. So yes, all you have to do is place your bid, but they're going to come from 2 cards in the middle that you don't know, that you have to look at them and pick one and then play one and not. So that one rule actually has 3 rules.
Berla, I'm calling it. This, if you guys played at Chuck Con, this is going to be the #1 game about 1980s music instruments that you guys play. #1 with a bullet.
You might be right there.
Got it.
You might be right there.
I would be completely shocked if at the end of Chuck Con, if you guys bring this. The problem is that it's not going to be available till Gen Con. So it's going to be tough to get between now and then. Although I think you could probably figure out how to make your own set if you want to. But if you guys played at Chuck Con, I would be absolutely surprised if we only counted new card games that you guys played, that this wasn't the top or one of the top games.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just know, and this game right here is fantastic.
I don't know that Bezier did Chris a service with this by pasting on an additional.
You think Magic Trick? It should have just.
I think Magic Trick with just colors and straight trick taking. It's like saying, okay, now all of your cards, all of your face cards are going to. The Jack's a bass player. Isn't that cool? The Ace is lead vocals. Or no, Ace would be playing lead guitar. That'd be Ace Frehley from Kiss. But if you had to do stuff like that, then you've made it less of a card game. And I think that might detract. I think if you're going to make an abstract trick taker, just go with it, embrace it. Let the rules be the rules.
Darren, you've been quiet. What are you thinking?
Well, when I first heard the rules for Scout, or when I first heard the rules for Ghost of Christmas, both of those, I thought, that's just a bit too much. I just want a simple trick-taking game with a little twist. But when I played both of those, I really enjoyed both of those. And they're like two of my top favorite games. So when I'm hearing you say here, it doesn't intrigue me. I think with Steve and Dean, this is a bit too much, a bridge too far. But, if I played it, it could be one of the best ever.
All right, so I'm hearing try from everybody. Dean, are you going to join the Xylotar crew? Are you a try also?
I'll play this for sure. And come up with some kind of cool, 80s jingle to this song. That would be fun. There'd be a lot of fun side conversations about Xylotaring.
All right,
you
so
think David Lee Roth?
Right. Yeah, David Lee Roth. That's right.
Yeah.
So far, my favorite new card game of this year, but I am getting shot down by the.
That says a lot, though. I think Dean's right. Seeing your enthusiasm about it makes it a definite play.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I literally can't wait. We're getting together with the family this weekend, and I'm going to be breaking out again. So I cannot wait. That is Xylotar. BJ from Oregon Gumbo. I've got my guests here, MeepleTown. Got Dean and we got Darren, and we're talking spicy hot games. And this is one that Steve, the name father, the wordsmith, the producer, said he wanted to talk about. I played it. I don't know if the rest of the crew has played it. Steve, tell us about Exhibition 20th Century.
I think this is one that some of your crew put together and threw out an invite to me on BGA.
That's right.
And I knew nothing about it. It's a game from 2021. Probably fell through some COVID cracks at the time when it was released. The name that you might recognize from here is Corne van Moorsel, who's designed alone, but has also paired some with Uwe Rosenberg to do Nova Luna and others. So it's an abstract game that is pretending to be about history. It is a layered drafting game where you are taking cards that are labeled from 1900 from the 20th century, from 1900 to presumably 1999. I think it ends at. They're colored in, I think, 6 different colors that you can draft from.
That's right.
And underneath those colors are there'll be columns of cards that you can draft from. When you draft a card underneath it, that determines where your marker goes to the next colored column. So if you draft a red card, you're now going to be drafting a card in the next round from the red column. And you have to play these into a little tableau in 3 different rows, basically. One that is going to have one of every color in date order. One that is going to have all of one color in date order. And one that is going to have different colors, but within 10 years of each other. And that's it. And if you can't draft and play a card, it becomes one of your 3 strikes, and then you're out. You get points for doing this. And there's also one wild card and one card that you can play that's closest to the middle of the century. So people are going to get points on how close they are to 1950 for that one single spot. This is such a pure little drafting game that I think Verla, you'll appreciate what a compliment this is from me. This feels like Phil Walker Harding could have made this game.
That's a good point.
Okay.
And that is, for me, pretty high praise. It takes one mechanic and gets rid of all the fluff and does that in, say, 3 or 4 layers, but one thing repeatedly really well. I am just garbage at it. But it's made me want to come back and play it each time and try it again. And I'm always glad when I don't know who it is who's posting the rematch, but every time we finish, I'm maybe not last, but I'm certainly not first, and I want to play it again. It's utterly simple, but it's so thinky with what you have to do to say, well, if I move to this column, what are the cards in this column that will then get me to another column? You're always you're trying to play chess, but
that just turned.
I feel like I'm still kind of playing checkers. Yeah. I want to play it some more. It's not
like chess
thematic, but it is kind of thinky as a little drafting game.
Have you played it on the table, or have you just been playing online?
I have not played it on the table. I want to get it after playing it on BGA on the table. And this was something BJ and I were talking about in the green room before the show. BGA might be doing a better job helping sales of actual board games by putting some of these things out there. This is certainly one that I would go looking for. I haven't seen it really in many places to get, but if I found a copy, I would certainly get it.
Yeah, we were playing it on BGA, and Jared finally found a copy. So I've actually played it live a couple of times, and I'm terrible at this game. I'm so bad at this game because of the, what did you call it, double or triple drafting, where you're trying to draft cards based on where your little meeple is moving. But when you get to that column, you got to pick cards that are going to fit on your board, and that is really and each of the different parts of your board has a different way of thinking.
Yes.
One of them is within 10. One of them is within the same continent. So it's like 3 different levels of thinking every time I draft, and it's one level too many. At the same time, I really have a good time.
Yeah.
And I've matched this up between this one and Trekking Through History because they feel kind of like. They don't feel like the same game, obviously, but it feels kind of like the same thing. And I much rather play this one. I do. I'm not going to say that I'm enthralled with this game. I like it. I wouldn't turn down a play of it, but I like it better than Trekking Through History.
Yeah.
So
I think it's one that as soon as you're taking cards, you can place it anywhere. But as you place things, your board gets more and more constricted with the rules of where you can place things, that you can't repeat a color except in one row, which you could lock yourself in. You have to have them in year sequence in that row. And as you play something, you're limiting yourself. So I'm failing at the end of the game, but I'm liking the middle of the game at least. And I want to come back to it.
where I mess up, Steve, too, is that Jared is much better at me at scanning all. So if you look at the board that I'm showing you right now, it is going to show you that on the left and right side of each one of the player boards, you can see just a myriad, a rainbow of colors. Yeah. That's every single card that's in the game.
That's the distribution.
In numerical order, with the distribution of the colors. So you know that if I need one more yellow one, you can kind of scan everybody's boards and go, okay, well, there's still a 1934 left that I can grab. But that's not what I'm good at. That is just not that's not one of my strengths, is being able to scan boards like that. So there is that little bit of interactivity. My strength, Steve, is on the right side of the board. There's 3 spots for cards that you can't play. Right. And so you have to burn points and lose the game by putting those in. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at putting those cards in. I have never played yet where I haven't filled up the right side of the board. So if that was the winning condition, Dean and Deron, I'd be all over this game. So
yeah. I think I would like to play this one with BJ. That would help me a lot. The designer.
If you want to improve your ELO, just
that's right. That's right.
Right.
One of the designers, Corne von Morsel, designer of partial designer of Nova Luna, Factory Fun, Factory Funner, which that's interesting. I like the games that teach me something. This one, looking at the dates and seeing the different, Tamagotchi in 1996, all that's cool. Yes. I enjoy that. So, and all the things that you described. Those light family weight games, I'm getting a lot of those played with my kids right now, and this seems like something I think they could play this.
Steve, one question though.
Yeah,
where's the Zolotar?
Well, that was in the 80s. Clearly, that was probably 83, because I'm thinking that's around the same time the Hooters came out of Philadelphia and really broke with the harmonica, electronic harmonica kind of thing, or the melodica, I think they called it. It's got to be
a Hooter or a melodica, right?
It was a melodica.
Yeah, which I've actually played. Those are fun to play. I don't know if you guys have ever tried. They're fun, man.
That's got to be mid early 80s.
Well, so that is Exhibition 20th Century. Deron, try, buy, pass. What do you think on this one?
I'm leaning to pass, but this is one of those that just because of the theme, it'd be worth a try for me. I don't like necessarily, at least it doesn't sound like this is the kind of puzzle that I want to try to solve. But if you're drafting cards throughout history, though, hey, those are the kind of things I want to see. I want to see the Zolotar card. I want to see the Rubik's Cube. Just for the novelty of that, it'd be fun to try.
All right, so that is Exhibition 20th Century. BJ from Morgan Gumbo. I've got my guests in here, the fine folks from MeepleTown. It's Dean and Deron. We're talking spicy hot games, and one of those is one that Berla surprised me. I don't know anything about this game, Berla. I want to hear you tell me about Mind Space, the Gumbo Overlord with a scoop. I don't know this game. Kelly
This
knows this
is true.
game. Verla knows this
This
game.
is
I don't
this
know
is
it.
thanks to Kelly, which Darren Kelly is my mom. Just side note. Um, we
Kelly,
got
I
to
like
get
your taste.
together. Nice. We got together this weekend. She lives up in Washington State. I'm in Oregon, and Portland's big board game convention, Game Storm, was happening, and we decided to go check it out. And Mom brought this along. We were at the same table, but playing different games. I was learning Macau with a group, and she played like 4 games in the time that we were learning Macau, which was awesome. I wanted to put that on this list too, side note. But anyways, she had this one out, and one of the guys that was playing with me was like, "What is that?" I was like, "I don't know." Something she brought, never heard of it. And she and I got the chance to play it the next day before we left town. And I was instantly like, okay, I'm really glad you made me play this and you brought it because it's awesome. So it's from All Play Games in a small square box like Mountain Goats, if you've played Mountain Goats.
So it's that same style of box.
It's that same style box, same little size. And I mentioned earlier in the show, polyominoes is speaking my language. So the whole theme of this is like, what are you putting in your mind? You've got like relationships and friendships and, taking care of your mental health. And, it's kind of tacked on, I guess, but you've got your boards. Or if you go back for a second, BJ, everybody has a player board and, you just need to go back one. But there's,
This one?
no, that's fine. The middle of the board, you'll see, or that board in the middle is what I'm trying to say. Stop. Or there. Stop. There we go.
Okay.
So the top of that is your player board. And you've got different colored markers that represent the 5 different colored dice that you can roll. And kind of like Phil Walker Harding, silver and gold, you've got cards that you're laying out that have polyomino shapes on them. I think there's like 17 different shapes. There's no repeats. And you have, I think, 5 laid out. Then the end stack is just a 2-piece that you can always default to if you can't play anything else. And you roll the dice, put them in numerical order from one side to the other. It's just 1 through 5 or 1 through 6, I guess it could be. But the 6, I believe, goes on that end stack that's always the same. And then you're choosing, a dice color and the shape that it's corresponding with to fill in on your board. And the board represents like the regions of your brain and gray matter in your brain. And you're trying to put these shapes in kind of in ways that, number one, fill up your board, but meet certain conditions. Like you want purple next to orange to score points. You want, if you pick a pink shape, whatever that shape may be, you want to try and get that shape again on your board in other colors to score points, so on and so forth. So there's just a lot of different stuff with that and different ways to score. And it's quick. I was looking up on BGG right before here. It said 30 minutes, maybe if that's 4 players with AP. We were knocking through it pretty quickly. I think we finished in like 15 to 20 max. And it was, dry erase markers, dry erase boards. So you play it again really quickly, and it was just fun. If you like polyominoes like me, it's a great little challenge. You've got bonus or goal cards, 3 goal cards that everybody's trying to be the first person. It kind of reminded me of the cards or the goals in Welcome to, how like the first person to get it gets a higher number, and then it flips over. And if you're the second, you get half that. It's kind of like that. And
That's the ones on the upper right-hand side of this
Yeah.
picture there? Okay.
Yeah, like you've got your gray matter in the middle of your board. And one of the goal cards that we had when we played was, be the first person to completely surround your gray matter. And then
I don't
there's
think
other
anybody's
ones.
ever said that in a board game before. So you
So,
said
yeah,
you roll the dice and you put
You
them
roll
in
the
order of
dice.
strength, and then you hand
Mhm.
them blindly to the person to the left. Is that right?
That plays the Zavatar.
Yes, only if there's a bear, though.
Yes.
Only
Yeah.
if there's a bear. So,
I'm intrigued, I think. I mean, I like the individual parts, Steve.
Yeah.
yeah.
The dice, the draft and write, the polyominoes. I don't know about the whole thing, but I like the way it looks, and I like snappy rolling rights. Any kind
Yeah.
of roller rider that's
Definitely
snappy.
a snappy rolling
Yeah.
right. I guess there was a deluxeified version that she got, and there's a regular version that the deluxe ones had like your dice look like brains.
They do.
They're not just solid
I like
squares.
the artwork too, by the way.
I do.
Yeah, the artwork
Mhm.
was pretty cool.
So
Lots
the
of ways to
scoreboards that we
score.
see are they
Mhm.
always the same in every game, or do they have different score sheets that you have? How does that work?
That's a good question. We were whipping
Kelly
through
has
it before I left, so
Mhm.
Mom, can you chime in the chat there and
Yeah.
answer that? Because I don't know. We were just like, we got to play one game before we each leave and drive our separate directions.
Right.
MeepleTown, have
You-
you guys heard of
yeah.
this one before?
I've heard Darren mention it, I believe, if I remember right. Can I ask a quick question, and then I'm going to let Darren talk because I know he has more to say about this. But Verla, how does this compare to your beloved Patchwork?
Mm.
Oh, that's a good question.
I just played Patchwork right before the show, right before Boggle. And I was like, I love Patchwork. And then you pull this out, and I'm like, wow, this looks great. I love this.
I feel like this takes Patchwork up a notch or two just in the challenge because you've got the different colors. Like, in Patchwork, you just want to fit your shapes around and fill your board. In this one, you do want to fill your board, but you've got these 5 different colors that each score in different ways. So it adds the challenge of like, well, just having more strategy in your choices of what shape and color you're going to select because, well, if I choose this one, if I choose this one that plays off of a different shape or the same color with a same shape, different color, these cards are going to go away. I might not get a chance to score that again if I don't make the right choice right now. So it's definitely thinkier than Patchwork.
And Darren, you've played it, right?
I have not played it. It is one that maybe we talked about in the conversation with the Kickstarter sale, because this is All Play it seems to release these small games all at once, and Sale is one that I've played a lot and I adore.
Sale's a blast,
yeah. But again, that's trick taking. This is some polyomino flip and right action, which, like you said, it does kind of sound. Gives me some vibes of the Silver and Gold from Phil Walker Harding.
Yeah.
But again, more thank you, because that one's fine. It's good to play with some people, just for a few minutes. I can't stick with that one for long. This one, again, just from the theme standpoint, and because it's got that other little extra thinky twist there, I'd like to try this one out sometime.
I think this is Phil Walker Harder.
The wordsmith.
She said this came with Sale, Couture, and Chomp. I played Sale. I haven't played the other two yet. Have not. I'm interested. For me, this would be a try. Anybody else?
I would be interested in playing this. Hearing you talk about Patchwork, which is a favorite of mine, and favorably compare it makes me think I got to get into it. But I feel kind of the same way that Darren does about Silver and Gold. Good, but over and done with, and it's like it's like a bowl of chips. I don't feel full after it, but I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not eating enough chips. That's the problem.
Yeah, the problem is I used to eat enough chips, and now I know what each bowl of chips costs me.
Mindspace looks like the kind of game you play at the start of the night or at the end of the night, which is how we did Silver and Gold. That it wasn't a game.
That sounds great,
it wasn't like we were going to Anubis to play Silver and Gold. It was like, hey, we're waiting on that fourth one. Somebody and then anybody got a game, and we'd play Silver and Gold, right?
Yeah, definitely a good filler.
Cool.
Definitely more strategic than Silver and Gold.
Good little tapas game. Okay, that's a try. Good one, Verla. And I didn't know anything about it, so
I didn't either.
All right, so Steve, it's about that time of the night. You guys,
I think it is.
Darren, we've been talking about Spicy Hot Games, but this is a board game show. So do you know what that means?
We play a board game.
We got to play a board game. That's right. Steve, take it away. What are we doing tonight?
Well, we're going to try and help out our good friends at MeepleTown because they have been expanding with the things that they do on their show. Some of the parts of the podcast you've added over the last couple of years include things like MeepleTown News, say, and MeepleTown Hall, where you're getting the populace involved with giving the feedback on the Discord and Guild, MeepleTown Mailbag, MeepleTown Jazz Club. We thought you need a little bit of help building up the suburbs of MeepleTown. So what BJ, Verla, and I are going to do, we've each written up, and I think we've got them now, 2 proposals for you each for new additions to the MeepleTown suburbs. These could be new services that should be offered in MeepleTown, municipal services or new storefronts or what have you, but we're going to kind of pitch them to you, and you two will judge our efforts and rank us from worst to first.
And we might even use one of them if we feel that
absolutely.
strongly about it.
Oh yeah.
It's not trademarked or anything by Board Game
No,
Gumbo.
in education, I'm thinking of these as more open educational resources. This is more open source. This is Creative Commons, let's call it.
Is it possible, Darren, to come out 4th out of 3? Because I think I'm going to come out 4th.
I'm really curious to hear how BJ decided to play this game, because I'm not sure he played it the same as everyone else.
So are we all. Darren.
Ever the Cylon.
Something with beignets is my guess. Some sort of a
Possible.
Yes.
All right, Gumbo Overlord. I think that. So, do you guys understand the rules of the game? Because I don't. But I think Burles should go up first, and I think the chat crew should also weigh in there. Maybe
sure,
absolutely. Votes, right? Sway the votes.
Yeah.
Burla, what you got?
All right. The first one, are we giving them one at a time? Go through each one and then our second one?
Do one at a time and then come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first one that I came up with, the first thing that just instantly came to my mind was we need a MeepleTown pub. We need a, pub and brewery where people can come and gather at their favorite watering hole with their, beer and pretzel games, talk about what those are, have them in your back pocket, ready to play and just hang out.
I like it. MeepleTown Pub. Wayne
You
says,
can never really.
we got another Beans and Dice crew member here. Wayne checking in. He says, gotta have a pub. Wayne, it's a perfect place, the MeepleTown Pub, perfect place to watch Premier League soccer, right?
That'll do.
What is that? What is Premier League soccer? I've never
Thoughts, Dean and Darren?
never heard of this.
thoughts about Darren's nonsensical comment there, or just about the pub? I really like the idea of a pub. There's a lot of different directions you can go there too. That's it's more open ended than we'd have to narrow that down. But I like it. That's a good call, Verla.
Yep.
Yeah, and if we're trying to build community, a pub's the kind of place where everyone knows your name, right?
It's a public house. That's where the name comes from, right?
Okay. Solid.
Got my vote.
Burley's coming out strong.
Say, come to the pub, see? Right?
No. No.
But wait, Dean's a minister.
Darren, and don't forget, Dean's got another voice. He doesn't have just one. He can also do.
That's right. He has 2.
He's got the other guy.
What was the other one? I forget the other one now.
Gus Chickens. Where's Gus?
And your pub.
Okay, that one might come out a little bit later.
Yeah.
Gravy. You got to go to the
MeepleTown
pub.
Mine, maybe. That's,
Yeah.
All right, Steve, what you got?
There it is. All right. So my first one's going to be the MeepleTown Salon and Spa. There's a game that needs a refresh. It could be a game that needs a new look to get its swagger and style back. The salon can update its appearance to get it out of the doldrums, or maybe it's something that needs a more philosophical change to realign and center that game. There's something wrong with it that needs to be fixed. Take it to the spa and deal with its stresses. Give it the harmony it deserves. So if there's a game that that needs an inner or an outer makeover, get it a gift card for the MeepleTown Salon and Spa. They have options that will help that worn game to get rejuvenated and come out like $1 million.
Can we put Hanabi in the spa? Because I get so stressed out when I play Hanabi. That is a stressful little card game. Man. Oh, I like that one. That one's got my vote.
That's a great
Oh,
one.
wow, already. Okay. This is an interesting one as well. I think that it would make it so that we can't be as harsh on games.
Yes.
But it allows us to help them along. I like that.
But you can think of it as a MeepleTown makeover.
That's
Go
right.
to the salon and spa.
This actually sounds a lot like one that we've been kind of kicking around a little bit, but I'll save what that one is until the very end. And maybe I'll mention it anyway. So we'll see.
Maybe. Okay.
Ready
BJ, are we snaking this? Are you doing 3 and 4?
No, I'm just going to do one, and then you guys will go back to Verla.
Okay.
All right. So I did mine a little different. So I'm going to tell you what it is, and you guys have to guess what that building is. Okay. So, and by the way, I'm not making these hard because these are based on recent episodes from you guys. Specifically, I think it's the, I won't go anything more. So every town needs a good educational exhibit that shows children the wonderful world of animals, right? But today's animal enclosures, they're kind of lame, right? We need to think bigger. What if MeepleTown's founding families donated the money to build something that showcases the animals, but it's got an IP to it. What if it was Star Wars themed? Wouldn't that be perfect for MeepleTown? Any guesses as to what it would be called?
Is this MeepleTown, Tom?
Any guesses?
Meeple Tatooine?
I'll give you a hint. Deron really liked this game, may have put it in his top games of the year. It's animal enclosures with the Star Wars theme. How about Zoo Vader?
Zoo Vader. Oh, that's good. That's good. I kept thinking Ark Nova, and I couldn't think anything with it.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Zoo Vader.
Zoo Vader.
Okay. So
Oh,
that happened.
I'm hearing crickets.
Yeah.
Just
Steve is
mulling
not
it
impressed.
over.
That was so funny in my dressing room. I don't know what happened. It didn't play at the Texas Club, but
Okay.
all right. So that's our choices so far. Steve, are we voting for all 6 or 3 at a time?
I think what we can do is let Dean and Deron decide on this, since it's proposals to the MeepleTown planners. This could be they have the choice of either picking a winner if they want to, or saying, well, these are going to be the ones that we'll put in rank, however they want to rate it. Just treat it as fun and shtick, which you're already apparently doing.
Well, I know which one's going to be last.
The
for
pub.
sure.
So we should go our second choices. Verla,
Yeah,
you
I
ready
think
for
so.
the
You want to
second
start back? Do you want to come back to the top again?
one?
These?
But just
Yeah,
keep in mind, so far
Yeah.
we've got the MeepleTown Pub, we've got the MeepleTown Spa, and we've got Zoo Vaders. Okay.
Zoo Vaders, yes.
All right. The other thing that you guys desperately need in MeepleTown is the
Desperate.
MeepleTown Art Gallery, because we need a place to display all the amazing board game art. And you could have, rotating artists and displays, and, like, hey, here's a whole bunch from Andrew Bosley. Here's a whole bunch from, whoever is catching your eye, whoever ended up doing the Mindspace art. This is what we're going to be displaying at the gallery this month or this week. If you could get the funding, you could also have the art gallery be at the botanical gardens and then incorporate like all the nature themed games in. Here we go to see great board game art and find out what's the latest, greatest nature themed board games. So
I like the idea of you guys talking about art and going to the MeepleTown Art Museum, right?
I do like that.
The exhibit. That's a great idea. It's got my vote.
I felt when you first mentioned that, Verla, I thought this might be too narrow. BJ, I like it. This might be too narrow, but then you started describing it. I was like, no, there's a lot of different
you can
ways
go
you can
a
go. You
lot
can
of
even-
different directions.
good.
You can go
Yeah.
sculptures, which allows me to talk about board game miniatures, which I'm always
Yeah.
happy to
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Oh, like you're going
I
to
like this
different
a lot.
wings of the museum? Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
This
that's
is
a
good.
tough
That's
one.
a good one.
I like
Steve?
that one. It has BJ's vote.
They all do.
They all do, yes. My next choice would be MeepleTown needs a MeepleTown Antiques and Thrift Store. Let everybody else chase those hot new games, those upscale wannabes who go to the MeepleTown Jazz Club and they're all excited about the next big thing. They can burn through their wallets spending big money on their cover charges and drink minimums on the cool games that may or may not come out in the next year or 5. The MeepleTown Antiques and Thrift Store has games from the past that people may have thought lost their shine a little bit, but have a lot of great fun left in them. Games from those last 10, 20, or even further back years, they deserve some love too. So if everything old is new again, and if beige is the rage, well, MeepleTown Antiques can be retro from the get-go. This is also going to be environmentally sound. You can reduce, reuse, recycle, and replay.
Oh, man. That
I
one
like
sounds
it,
great.
especially if
Got
I
my
can
vote.
find a copy of Macau there.
Macau is definitely coming to ChutCon. We've established that. And I'm hoping to say that out loud to entice Dean to travel north too. 'cause-
I'm jealous because I think that's a great one. It's got my vote. I really like that one. Yeah. No, there's so many. To be serious, there's so many ways you can go with that. It's
Yeah,
we
oh,
always
yeah.
talk about the classic cardboard, but this fits. This really does fit in with the theme of MeepleTown. That's a tough one.
And if we do end up using any of these, Steve, can we use all the taglines? that you
Absolutely.
threw in there.
Absolutely.
That
We don't
alone
even-
gets my vote.
We might be able to get Steve to do a commercial for this.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ooh, there you go.
Well, we can
do our intro
I think
to it.
given that you had Johnny MeepleTown do that fab voiceover, I can't compete with that, those dulcet tones. But I can do the writing and be the puppet master behind someone else who's going to play the role. I mean, that'd be great.
I like it. All right, my last one.
What
Yes.
you got, BJ?
Okay, good.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
MeepleTown residents, you need a bakery in your town, right? But
Call
not
it
just
the
any
beignet.
bakery. Not just any bakery. You need a French bakery. But not just any French bakery. You can't have an ordinary French bakery in MeepleTown. This particular bakery that I think you guys should open up also serves up delicious but Halloween-themed treats for your kittens and cats. It's for pets. Any guesses as to what the name of the bakery would be?
Xylotar?
Halloween-themed treats for your kittens and cats would be found, of course, at the Boulangerie.
Whew.
Wow, that's got my vote.
Yeah.
The Boulangerie, Steve.
Yeah. I
Oh,
am
I think Steve is
rethinking.
froze.
I am rethinking so many choices in my life at this point.
I think we all are.
Sue Vader and Boop Lingerie are great additions to MeepleTown. They maybe don't fit the theme of the game, but not sure we can do it. But maybe for your Halloween themed episode, when you're rating your Halloween themed games, you could go to the Boop Lingerie. All right,
I think we should have that without any explanation, though. Like that's just
just
the name of the
time
location.
to go to the Boulangerie.
Yeah. Just drop it in. A little Easter egg.
They'll of course think that you're pronouncing lingerie incorrectly, and then we have a very different store in MeepleTown.
Yeah. Well, that's all I'm hearing, and I can't unhear it. I'm so freaked out right now.
All right. I think y'all are stalling, trying to prevent me from winning this game.
Yeah.
So you
Let's
need
hear the votes, Dean and Darren.
a collective answer, or you need a ranking from each of us.
Up to you all.
I don't know if
Guess
Wayne likes
choice
those.
on this. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Wayne. Up to you all. You can either say these are ones that are in consideration to be added to MeepleTown, or you can rank if you'd like, or whatever you decide to do. What did you think of what we had to offer?
Do we spare feelings? Does that matter in this at all?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I trust you, Dean.
We'll start with the BJ ones. Top to bottom, bottom to top. I'll go bottom to top.
Or maybe let us figure out.
Well, at the Boop Lingerie, you will have bottoms and tops. That's just a given. So,
I think my favorite. I'm actually I'll start with my favorite, Darren. Let me know what you think. I would say the art gallery might be at the top of my list. And I thought pub was going to be a really tough one to beat, but the more I thought about that, I really like the MeepleTown Art Gallery. So that's starting with my number one.
You want to go ahead and give my number one then? Is that what what you're saying? Yeah. So the tough one of this, I feel like, is that two of the ones that Steve mentioned are two that we've kind of been thinking about in some regards, or something close to that. And so, like for instance, the salon and spa may be my one, because we were thinking maybe doing something like a MeepleTown, going down to the MeepleTown mechanic or something along those lines, or the auto shop to have something work like the softer side of what you're saying with the salon and spa to give something a makeover. I'm digging that one. That may be my number one at the moment.
It's a great one.
Interesting. Dean said he thought pub was going to be hard to beat, and then Verla beat her own.
Yeah.
Just
She
That's why I
did.
saved that for
Just to know.
the last one.
She thought she was going to be number one. Turns out she's going to be number 1 and 2 for Dean.
You might
Well-
want to just stop there, Steve, and just let
Yeah.
the audience guess as to what the other choices.
Yeah, exactly.
Salon and spa and pub, partly because we talked about that. So I would say for me, those are pretty close and maybe even interchangeable. I'd have to flesh out the pub one a little bit more to figure out. So I would say maybe salon and spa is number 2, and then pub is number 3 for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, I think my number 2 might be the antiques and thrifts, because again, we've sort of talked about going down to the MeepleTown Museum and checking out some of those older games. And
Okay.
but again, I like the wordsmithing you did with the plugs there, which makes the antique and thrift a little more appealing and meaningful than the maybe going down to a dusty, musty old museum.
Mm-hmm. And if you've already got art represented in the gallery, you can have the museum represent a different thing.
Yeah, because
Right,
both
right.
of those, you have the different ways to go.
Yeah.
If you're at the museum, you can go art, you can go sculpture, you can go, different things with production. And when you're at the thrift store, you can go, things that are old and you can find, things that are tough to find, things that are collectible. I mean, yeah,
Sure.
there's a bunch of different ways to go.
And
Yeah,
we have a segment intro for our MeepleTown Museum that my wife did. It's just been so long since we've used it. It's been well over a year.
Is she
it may
sitting
have
by a
been
tree
since
reading a letter?
she.
Rocking out on the xylotar.
That's right. That's right.
What did you call this game, Steve?
MeepleTown Planning, I guess.
MeepleTown.
Town
The
Planner?
MeepleTown Planning Committee. That's right.
Yeah.
The MeepleTown Planning Committee.
Along those lines.
Something like that. That is the MeepleTown Planning Committee game, long a favorite here in the Gumbo, one of our favorite games.
It has
presented
BJ's
by-
vote. It has BJ's vote.
Presented by our friends. Well, I haven't thought of a Cajun word for it yet. So presented by our friends at Game Toppers LLC. Remember, folks, make your game nights a showstopper when you play on a Game Topper. All right, board gamers, that's it for another episode of Gumbo Live. I want to thank our friends Darren and Dean from MeepleTown for coming in. That was fantastic. Dean, it was great to see you again, of course. And Darren, it was nice to meet you. Although, like I said, I listen to podcasts all the time, so it feels like I know your voice very, very well. But if people want to know more about MeepleTown, what's the best way for them to reach you?
I'd say social media could be a way to find out what we have going on. Going to the website, MeepleTownGames.com would be helpful. But a lot of our conversation happens on the Discord and on the MeepleTown Guild at BoardGameGeek.com, guild number 3407.
3407.
Or Darren's
That's
personal phone number is...
Well, where could people buy you a coffee, Dean?
buymeacoffee.com/MeepleTown9. And
there it is.
you
The
can buy us
9,
coffee over
very
there,
good.
or you can support us on Patreon.
Yeah, and you guys are very active on the Discord too. Darren, you're really active on the Discord with people with questions. So if you like an active community on Discord, make sure you check that out.
Building
And
community
that's-
through board games.
Make sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo, and the YouTube channel. It helps us get the word out about all our upcoming shows. Our next show is going to be The Sixth Realm, a new game coming out on Kickstarter in April. We're going to show it off to you. We're going to play it live on our Twitch Tuesdays, where we play your games live on TV, on Twitch. Although I can't say your game this time because it's just a prototype. But it's a really good. It's a really good game designed by Drake Villarreal. It's got kind of a Feld theme. I was expecting Merchant's Cove because it sort of felt Merchant's Cove 2.0. It's going to surprise you, I think. So check out our next stream when we play The Sixth Realm coming up. I'm BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I want to thank my guests, Dean and Darren from MeepleTown, and of course, the Gumbo Overlord and Steve, the producer, the wordsmith. And until next time, Laissez, bon temps, rouler.